What's going on, everyone? Let's talk about the Lakers' X Factor, Jarred Vanderbilt. He may arguably be the most important piece in this playoff run, not only for the Memphis Grizzlies, but going forward, outside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, of course. His ability to defend at an elite level without fouling and guard multiple positions, big or small, is just so undervalued. We've seen him go and guard a guy like Luka and then immediately switch and lock up a guy like Kyrie Irving and then guard an Anthony Edwards and Ja Morant. And it's a display of just beauty. And him alone, since the trade, has taken us from like an average defensive team to an elite defensive team. Anthony Davis takes us from like a bottom 5 defensive team to like middle of the pack by himself because his impact is just so great. Arguably the best defensive player on the planet. Jarred Vanderbilt is really good as well. And his ability to be a defender on the perimeter, guard the best player night in and night out, he's going to definitely have his hands full. He's probably going to spend a lot of time guarding Ja Morant and use his size, his length, his strength, his speed, which is another thing. He's just got all the intangibles to be an elite defender, and he's going to be massive for this team. Now, obviously, scoring and all that stuff is important, but defense wins championships, and to have an elite wing defender in Jarred Vanderbilt is massive. Also, some recent news that came out that I figure we might as well plug in here. I don't think it's anything like shocking or surprising, but the Lakers are planning on keeping Jarred Vanderbilt next season, that they're going to keep his option, which is a no-brainer. He's like 223rd in salary next season or something like that out of all the players in the NBA. He's only making $4.7 million next year. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that was something that needed to be reported, but it was reported, so I figured why not tack it in to this video. But Jarred Vanderbilt, he's a guy that is still extremely young, just turned 24. He's a guy that has been a real solid contributor for the Lakers on both sides of the ball. You know, he's given us about 7 points per game, just under 7 rebounds. He's given us 1.5 assists, 1.2 steals, and under a block. But again, elite level defense that can lock down. He's shooting 52% from the field, and he's shooting 30% from 3, which isn't anything to like, it's not anything major, but I mean, it's still better than what it could be, right? This is something that if he can even just develop even a small bump in 3-point percentage, get to like 34%, which is still under league average, but not by much because league average is about 35%. If you can just get to like slightly under or to league average, then you have like a legitimate two-way player. But he's not without his flaws, right? His hands at times, you know, we see him fumbling the basketball. His ability to finish at times is questionable, but he's still so young. He's just getting started with his career. He's only going to get better on the offensive end. Once he actually has a full training camp, a full preseason, all that stuff to work with Phil Handy and guys like that, you'll start seeing him mold into a better player. He's a guy that the Lakers need to keep for the long haul. Even if he never becomes an offensive threat or an offensive weapon, just him cleaning up the glass and his ability to just get points here and there, that's all cherry on the top, right? That's not like, we don't need him to be some 20-point-a-game scorer. We need him to lock down defensively and be the best defender on the team night in and night out and guard, again, guys like Ja Morant, which he is going to probably guard heavily this series. My guess is Ja Morant will see multiple bodies. I think the Lakers will throw several guys at him throughout the course of the series because you want to wear him down, right? You want fresh legs constantly at Ja because he's only one player, but you can throw several. So I see Jarred Vanderbilt. I see Dennis Schroeder. I could even see Shaq Harrison getting a little burn just to solely guard Ja Morant. And it's like, hey, Shaq, I need you to go in there. I need 3 hard fouls, right? No, nothing major. You know, you don't want to hurt anybody, but you know, the good old-fashioned basketball fouls where, you know, you just run into the guy, knock him on his ass, right? Something like that, because that starts to wear and tear on a player. And so I think that you're going to see multiple looks, but I think primarily the 2 guys that are going to be on Ja 90% of the time is going to be Jarred Vanderbilt and likely Dennis Schroeder, right? So when Jarred Vanderbilt is getting rest, probably throw Dennis Schroeder in at the end. And Dennis Schroeder may very well be the guy that ends up closing out. But also, Jarred Vanderbilt, again, his ability to switch and guard multiple players at multiple positions is very valuable. Let's say Dennis Schroeder is doing a great job on Ja Morant, right? Well, who's the other guy that's getting hot? Is it Triple J? Okay, well, maybe, and maybe Triple J's bringing Anthony Davis out of the paint. Well, you can throw Jarred Vanderbilt on him, and now you have that defender that can stick with him. Or, let's say Baines. Let's say Baines is starting to shoot the lights out, and he's getting hot. We've seen him and his ability to do that. Well, guess what? You could throw Jarred Vanderbilt on Baines and slow him down and stop him and keep Dennis Schroeder on Ja Morant. It's the flexibility is what is so valuable. And then whatever points he trickles in is just points that he trickles in. Him in that corner three, he's probably going to get a lot of looks of those. In my opinion, he has to shoot those. Shoot it. He's shown the ability to knock it down. And, even if he just knocks down at, 2 out of 5, right? Like, that's still 6 points that he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And it allows us to get set because the Grizzlies are going to be small. They only have Triple J, and then outside of Triple J, that's basically it. They're probably going to be running Tillman at the 5 a lot, and they're going to be having 6'8" guys. So you can even run Jarred Vanderbilt in spots, even have him as like the help defender, the guy that's crashing the boards and just providing in multiple ways. And then whatever offense you get is whatever offense you get. But he also may have the ability to get some easy looks, some backdoor cuts, and go up against defenders that are his size. And that is valuable, right? Because he has a hard time going up against the trees, finishing through contact. Again, that'll come with time. He's got to develop that. But he's still 6'9". And if you have like a 6'8" Tillman at center, Jarred Vanderbilt should be able to go over the top of him and get the basket and finish. So it's definitely something to at least look out for. But primarily, he's the guy that is there for one thing and one thing only, to be the defensive specialist. I see a lot of people that are like, hey, you should swap, Rui Hachimura over Jarred Vanderbilt. And look, I love Rui. I did a full deep dive on Rui. Go check that out. After this video, go take a look at that video. I think Rui is going to be a huge, huge factor. I think you can make an argument that Rui is the biggest mismatch in this series. Of course, outside of LeBron and AD, is the biggest mismatch because his size, his ability to score, his strength, his ability to fight through contact. I could even see him playing the center spot at certain points. All of those things, I think Rui is very valuable this series. But he's not the defender that Vanderbilt is. He's not a guy that you can throw on Ja Morant. The biggest threat that the Memphis Grizzlies have is Ja. They don't have 2-3 stars that can completely just take over games like the Lakers do. The Lakers have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And realistically, the only way the Memphis Grizzlies are going to win this series is if Ja Morant is arguably the best player on the court night in and night out. And to have a guy like Jarred Vanderbilt that is going to be a real obstacle for Ja to get over is massive. His ability to crash the boards, be high energy, be physical, guard 95 feet, switch in any defensive schemes, right? That is massive. And you're going to need to slow guys down. Gonna need to slow Ja down. If Baines starts getting going, you're gonna need to slow him down. I love Rui. I think Rui's gonna play a lot. I can even see sets because Memphis is probably going to go very small. So I can see sets where Tillman's at the 5 and you have like Rui at the 5, Vanderbilt at the 3, and then maybe LeBron at the 4 or something like that. Or maybe Vanderbilt is at the 4 and you have like a Troy Brown at the 3, something like that if they go really small. And then you have that 3 defensive front as well as all 3 guys have the length and the size to go grab rebounds. Even Troy Brown has been great rebounding for the Lakers this year. And you could see that kind of match them, don't lose some of the scoring, but still have the defense, right? So you could always keep Jarred Vanderbilt on him, even have Schroeder in the game. That's a solid defensive lineup if, let's say, Memphis's 5 is like, say, Ja, Baines, Brooks, Xavier Tillman, and then whomever, right? Let's say Kennard or something like that, right? Well, now, again, you can have those two with like Austin Reeves and Dennis Schroeder, and you match up beautifully. Rui has the size and the strength to guard Tillman. You can throw, Vanderbilt or Schroeder on Ja, and then you could have leave Brooks in the corner if you need to, and have Vanderbilt kind of play that spy position that Anthony Davis plays. Vanderbilt could be that help defender and just lock these guys up. So there's so many different defensive schemes. There's so many different matchups that you can have that you didn't have a couple months ago, right? When we didn't have Jarred Vanderbilt. Jarred Vanderbilt's abilities and his elite defense is what makes us so dangerous. That top elite level defense. Because if you remove Jarred Vanderbilt from this roster, we are not as good defensively. I mean, we'd still probably be pretty good because, again, Anthony Davis is so elite. Dennis Schroeder, he's been solid defensively. Troy Brown's been really good defensively. LeBron James, we've seen him be able to lock down in spots. But realistically, we're not going to be to the level that we are. We're not going to be a top 5 defense, and an elite defense that can guard and, fight through multiple offensive sets, switch and play different defensive schemes. We're able to do that because of Jarred Vanderbilt. Jarred Vanderbilt also takes so much pressure off of Anthony Davis because now Anthony Davis isn't the sole primary defender. He's not the sole anchor. I mean, he's always going to be the guy, the anchor on the defensive end, but it gives him so much more freedom. It allows Anthony Davis to play that scout position, that patrol position so much more because you got a guy like a Jarred Vanderbilt who can get out there and just go get it. Dennis Schroeder being the point of attack guard. Those are two very important pieces for Anthony Davis because it takes just an immense amount of pressure off of AD. It also takes pressure off of LeBron James. Because usually LeBron James, in the past, LeBron James has been the guy that has to guard the Luka Doncic, right? Or has to guard, the Ja Morant. Like, think of Derrick Rose, right? Like, Derrick Rose killing him. What do? You put LeBron on him. Well, LeBron, with his age, with the year 20, the mileage that he has, yes, I do believe if it's the last play of the game and LeBron gets switched on Ja, I do believe LeBron can lock down and shut down Ja for a possession. But to have him have to do that night in and night out, I just don't think that that's a realistic possibility. That's why we have him at the 4 now, because he's better at the 4, because you don't want him having to guard quick, fast, athletic wings. That's why you have Jarred Vanderbilt. That's why the Lakers went and got a guy in Jarred Vanderbilt, because he can do that. He can take the load and the burden and play that elite level defense. And I've seen people be like, oh, well, he gets beat sometimes. Every player does. Name me one player in the history of the game that hasn't got... I mean, Michael Jordan got crossed over and embarrassed on numerous occasions. Like, guys are going to get beat. Guys are going to miss rotations. Guys are going to miss spots. It happens. It's throughout the course of the game. It's what are you doing 90% of the time? And 90% of the time, Jarred Vanderbilt is that dude. He is an elite defender. He is a top defender in this league. He's the workhorse night in and night out. He's the guy that has these assignments. And you're never going to stop a guy like, you're never going to stop like, the Ja Morants of the world. You're just not. You're never going to beat those guys. It's just how it works. But can you slow them down? Can you make things difficult? Which he can, right? Like, he's a guy that we've seen give Brandon Ingram absolute fits, given Luka absolute fits, given Anthony Edwards completely take him out of the game on numerous occasions. And people try to make excuses like, oh, Anthony Edwards was hurt and blah blah blah. What about the previous game we played? Anthony Edwards played the exact same way. Was he hurt then? No, he had Jarred Vanderbilt on him. Right? Like, Jarred Vanderbilt is proven time and time again. His defensive rating and his metrics and everything all prove that he is a top defender. Like, seriously, look at defensive rating, right? Let's keep it as simple. Simple as defensive rating. The average defensive rating in the league is around 115 and some change, like 115.4. Jarred Vanderbilt is almost 3 points better. He's like 112.3. That is huge. I mean, the difference between an elite defender and like an average defender is usually like a point or two. So he's like top. Like he's in arguments with some of the best defensive wings in the league. So his impact, I think, is going to be felt. I think it's going to be massive. And I really do believe that he's going to be our X factor in a multitude of ways. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think, yes, he's going to be the X factor? Do you think he won't? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.